On January 16, 2025, Grace Tabernacle Church in Houston, Texas, held one of the most somber funeral services that the citizens there had ever witnessed. The atmosphere inside the church was thick with tears and the pain of loss as thousands came to bid farewell to Pastor Bridget Hilliard, a beacon of light and hope in their lives. Her death not only snuffed out a bright flame in the hearts and souls of millions but also left a significant void in the community where she had tirelessly served for decades. Pastor Bridget Hilliard was more than just a preacher. She was a friend, a mother, and a spiritual sister to many. Her life was a journey of love and service, built on a foundation of faith and steadfastness. Since becoming the first pastor of Grace Tabernacle, she had drawn millions of souls onto the path of salvation. Every sermon she delivered was soaked in faith and hope, and those who attended her services often felt an overflow of vitality and determination. Last month, while still in her hospital bed, despite the doctor's persistent probing about her health condition, Bridget simply smiled. To her, it was a battle she did not wish to lose, but if it came to that, she would still accept it and leave behind lessons for her loved ones. She said, "Life is short, but the values we leave behind are what truly matter." Each morning, she would start the day with prayer and write down the good things she wished to bring into the world, aspiring not only to be an inspiration but also a guiding light for others. As the time for farewell drew near, a few people came to visit her. They placed their hands on her shoulders, praying with her in her final moments. Beautiful memories, meaningful conversations, and the encouragement she had once given them came rushing back to their minds like a vivid film. Everyone wished to see a radiant smile on the face of this great woman, but the reality was that the past few months of frailty had taken a toll on her. At the funeral, when the casket was brought into the church for the congregation and loved ones to say their goodbyes, the atmosphere grew heavy and solemn. People stood as if caught in a storm of emotions. Some wept, while others were silent, but all shared the same pain. In their hearts, a wave of anxiety arose. What would life be like without her warm, uplifting presence? The church bells rang throughout the space, creating a somber symphony that gently enveloped everyone in a reflective mood. Portraits of her adorned the walls, showcasing memories and milestones in her preaching career. She had left an indelible mark on the hearts of every individual, and now, as they stood before her casket, they wondered how her values and beliefs would be upheld. In that moment, another pastor, who had worked alongside her for many years, stood up and shared, "Bridget Hilliard was a symbol of courage and faith. She was not just a guide for us in our difficult times but also illuminated the dark paths of many lost souls." These words seemed to resonate with everyone, making them feel that although her physical body had departed, the spirit and legacy she left behind would live on forever. Amid the crowd, stories about Pastor Bridget were shared from the heart, each tale shining a light that would continue to glow in people's hearts, reminding them of the life philosophy she imparted. A young mother stood up, her voice trembling. "The first time I met her, I was in distress and despair. She came, comforted me, and told me, 'Never give up.' Her words gave me the strength to overcome many challenges in life." This story not only touched the collective pain of society but also created a moment of connection among the attendees. They were all influenced by Pastor Bridget's vision and way of life. In the following moments, people took turns expressing gratitude to her for teaching them how to overcome hardships, how to love, and how to live responsibly in the community. "In a way I never could have imagined," said a middle-aged man. "She came to my house just to sit down and talk with my wife about the hardships we were facing. Her presence was like a hearthfire, warming our spirits and helping us see through everything." With stories, tears, and intermingled smiles creating a beautiful tableau of the event, they illustrated the love she had brought to this community. As the funeral concluded, People not only celebrated Pastor Bridget's life but also vowed to continue living in the spirit she had created. They decided to establish a charity fund in her name to support those in need, just as she had once helped them. This act ensured that her contributions would continue to live on. After the funeral, the community organized gatherings to discuss ways and means of upholding the values she had championed. From offering free tutoring for local children to creating support programs for struggling families, everyone was determined to maintain her legacy with every action they took. They voluntarily signed up as volunteers at community centers, distributing food, preparing vocational training classes, and encouraging the less fortunate, all to honor Pastor Bridget Hilliard. In the months that followed, the community found time to move forward, remembering and thanking her for all that she had done. They decided to host an annual memorial event where people could come together to share memories and stories, as well as updates on the charity fund established in her name. This event became a platform for building an even stronger community while also nurturing the spirits of those touched by her. Every Christmas, the congregation would gather for a singing service in her remembrance. They would joyfully sing her favorite hymns, listen to stories from her life, and touch the hearts of every attendee. While tears fell, smiles also emerged, serving as a way to look toward the future, a philosophy of life she had left behind. Over time, this community discovered an extraordinary truth. Although she had passed away, Pastor Bridget Hilliard lived on in the hearts of everyone, in the volunteer work they undertook, and in the smiles they shared with others. They would no longer remember her merely as someone who had passed but as a testament to a sincere, pure love she had sown in this community. The light from the love she had left behind illuminated the way for those who came after. As each moment passed, memories of Pastor Bridget Hilliard continued to accompany them. Stories were recounted, songs resonated, and the care they extended to one another served as a thank you to her. A person who had fully lived with a generous spirit, undaunted by any challenges. The values she imparted would be upheld through generations, spreading love and hope for life. In reality, Pastor Bridget's legacy extended beyond a charity fund or memorial days. It truly became a way of life. Those in the community began to view life through a new lens where love and goodwill took center stage. They became increasingly mindful of those around them, readily helping one another and seeking opportunities to spread positive messages. As each person walked their own path, they would always remember that although Pastor Bridget Hilliard was no longer here, the light and love she left behind would live on eternally in their hearts. They would not halt at what she had achieved but would continue to grow and uplift themselves and their community, bettering each day. In doing so, they became guardians of her legacy, of what she represented, and turned all that she had accomplished into vibrant dreams for the future generation. Ultimately, the passing of Pastor Bridget Hilliard was not merely an ending but a new beginning for a new journey, a new destiny for all who knew her. She inspired others to be better, and they would carry that spirit forward to the generations yet to come. In the hearts of millions, Pastor Bridget would live on forever, and the light from her life would continually guide them in every step of life. A promise of love and forgiveness, a reminder that true love remains eternal even when we have to leave this world. In a world fraught with turmoil and the challenges facing modern society, the presence of spiritual warriors like Pastor Bridget Hilliard not only ignited flames of hope in people's hearts but also led communities through difficult times. Pastor Hilliard, a woman with a boundless heart and a passion for service, dedicated her life to spreading the messages of love, forgiveness, and hope. From her inspirational sermons to philanthropic activities aimed at improving the lives of the underprivileged, she built a robust legacy not just for herself but for the entire community. Her influences resonated with many, from loyal congregants to those who had merely heard her words. The purpose of this writing is to commemorate, reflect, and honor the life of Pastor Bridget Hilliard, uncovering the ups and downs she experienced from her youth to becoming one of the most influential spiritual leaders in the community. Through these pages, we will explore the core values she lived by and worked for, as well as how those values shaped the lives of those around her. Bridget Hilliard was born into a family with a strong religious foundation. Both of her parents were devout worshipers, and from a young age, she was taught the importance of faith and compassion. Her family lived in a small community where everyone knew each other, and religious festivals often served as opportunities for family members to gather, pray, and share stories from their teachings. As a child, she often accompanied her mother to church, where she would listen to inspiring sermons from the clergy. These images left a profound impression on her, and from that moment on, the dream of becoming a spiritual leader began to take shape. She was also an excellent student, always carrying an intense curiosity regarding religious teachings and philosophy. School was often a chance for her to debate and discuss these topics with her peers. As time passed, challenges began to manifest in her life. When she hit her teenage years, her family faced financial difficulties, which affected her mental state. She spent many long nights pondering her future, questioning her faith, and contemplating her place in the world. These hard times taught her the value of patience and forgiveness, lessons she would carry forward throughout her life. Upon entering adulthood, she resolved to enroll in a religious educational institution. There, her curiosity and love for knowledge were met with a curriculum rich in biblical studies, religious history, and philosophy. She met many like-minded individuals and even some renowned clergy, from which she learned many valuable lessons. However, not everything went smoothly. Prejudices against women becoming pastors presented significant hurdles for her. Some within her community criticized and doubted her capabilities. But the determination and passion in her heart remained unshaken. She chose to listen to that criticism and turned it into motivation to strive harder. In the end, her efforts bore fruit. She graduated with distinction, realizing that she was not only capable of becoming a pastor but also had a duty to lead and assist her community. She was determined not only to preach within the church but also to actively participate in social activities to effect real change in the lives of those around her. After graduation, Pastor Bridget Hilliard began her journey with challenging footsteps. Everything she learned in school was just a foundation. Now she needed to apply that knowledge practically. She accepted a position at a small church in her community as an assistant pastor, where she could learn and practice under the guidance of an experienced pastor. On her first day at work, she felt both excited and apprehensive. Those early days were not devoid of challenges as she faced skepticism and doubt from some community members regarding a woman's leadership abilities. They often questioned her suitability for a spiritual role, but soon, she proved that her perseverance and dedication could conquer all doubts. She started with small sermons at the church, where she skillfully blended real-life stories with foundational religious messages. She always sought to deliver her messages in the most accessible way possible, allowing listeners to feel the faith and hope she sought to convey. Gradually, this drew the attention and affection of the community. A significant turning point in her career came when she organized a special event to rally the community for donations for a charity project aimed at aiding struggling families. She worked tirelessly, from planning the event to securing sponsors and promoting it. The event attracted hundreds of participants, and the amount raised exceeded all expectations. This not only demonstrated her leadership abilities but also illustrated how beloved she was in the community. By her third year on the journey, she was entrusted with leading a larger church with a greater number of congregants. This was a large challenge but also an opportunity to showcase her capabilities. While many worried about the transition, she viewed it as a chance for growth and broader influence. Her sermons began to resonate on a larger scale. She continuously sought ways to elevate the quality of her preaching, actively participating in seminars and workshops both domestically and internationally to stay updated with new knowledge. She also began to study how successful pastors worldwide had thrived and sought effective models to learn from. With all these efforts, she gradually built a stable congregation, and many began returning to their faith because of the messages she articulated. She was not merely a preacher, but also a friend, a counselor, and an indispensable part of her congregants' lives. Over time, she realized that a pastor's role was not just to preach but also to support, listen, and connect with people. She pioneered a mental health support program for those in need, helping them find direction in life through a religious lens. As she became an influential pastor in the community, one of the most important factors in her journey was the ability to communicate her messages effectively. Every sermon by Pastor Bridget Hilliard was meticulously prepared, infused with dedication to touch the listeners' hearts. She always made an effort to use real-life stories to illustrate the teachings from the Bible, making her sermons not only lively but also more comprehensible to all audiences. One of her notable sermons tackled the theme of unconditional love. This sermon emphasized the importance of love in religion while delving deeper into how love can alter people's lives. She conveyed many poignant stories of the power of love within families, friendships, and communities. In another sermon, she explored forgiveness, sharing the story of a woman who had endured much suffering in the past. Through this, she encouraged her listeners not only to forgive one another but also to forgive themselves. These messages were more than mere words. They incited action, fostering positive change within their souls. She frequently organized workshops at the church to invite everyone to discuss difficult life issues, such as stress, societal pressures, and emotional pain. These discussions became essential to the church's schedule, attracting numerous congregants and creating valuable, honest conversations. She also actively invited guest speakers from various fields to participate. This brought diversity and richness to the messages and made individuals from different backgrounds feel more comfortable sharing and seeking help. Recognizing the power of technology, she expanded her teaching methods through online platforms. This not only saved time but also allowed people who couldn't attend in person to listen and learn. Subsequently, many individuals accessed her messages through social media and online sermons. Her influence transcended her sermons, manifesting vividly in the community. She initiated various charitable projects, such as building shelters for the homeless, hosting workshops to enhance life skills for youth, and organizing caregiver programs for the elderly without support. These initiatives provided opportunities for many to find footing and gain support in their lives. When discussing Pastor Bridget Hilliard, one cannot overlook her contributions to the community, a crucial part of her vision and mission. She understood that faith did not only exist within the church's four walls but also needed to thrive in the daily lives of individuals. One of her standout projects was the Winter Coats program. This initiative aimed to gather clothing and essential items for families in need during winter. She called upon every congregant to bring gifts from the heart, and she actively participated in sorting and distributing items to those in need. Yearly, this program attracted hundreds of volunteers and assisted thousands of families. She also organized life skills training programs for youth to help them grow personally and facilitate their futures. These workshops not only equipped them with essential skills but also built confidence and self-trust. With support from various professionals, she provided young people knowledge about finance, social interaction, communication, and teamwork. One form she regularly employed to encourage community participation was the organization of charitable festivals. During these events, Participants not only had the opportunity to donate but also engage in enjoyable activities, performances, and conversations, creating a warm and connected atmosphere. Her efforts did not only remain on a small scale, she aimed to create long-lasting impacts on a larger scale. She partnered with some international organizations to implement campaigns to aid the impoverished, spreading the spirit of compassion and solidarity to various other regions. The successes of community projects established her as a respected figure not only within the church but also in the broader community. People began to recognize the value she brought and the transformations she created in their lives. Looking back on her achievements, she felt a deep sense of pride. She understood that her work had never been a personal journey but rather a shared mission among many. Her goal was not just to rest on what she had accomplished but to inspire the next generation to continue the journey of helping those around them. Thank you for watching this video. Please hit like, share, and subscribe to motivate me to create more engaging content. Looking forward to seeing you